Hello and welcome to this video. Let me check if the video is recording the audio. Okay, audio is getting recorded. Welcome to this video on JavaScript where we will start our discussion about modules. So before the Node.js system came into picture, the support for modules was uh, messy. Now, what is a module actually? Okay. So in general, you can think of module as a piece of code which can be reused. Okay. Now, whenever you have a piece of code which you want to reuse, for example, in classes or functions, there are two things. One is which is private to those classes and functions, and second is something which is public to that. Okay. So, for example, if you look at different modules in JavaScript like math module or date module, then those have the private parts as well as public parts. We don't want outside world to look at the private parts, but we want them to use the public property. For example, you look at this implementation. Okay, we have sum, square, mean, std_dev. So mean and std_dev make use of sum and square. So what we can do is that we know that inside a function, the properties can be private. The local variable and whatever functions you define inside a function is private. But you can return those things which you want to be public. So for example, we can wrap that inside a function like so, and we delete this export, so we'll add it later. So we do this, and so now we do return here, from here mean and std_dev. Okay, so we can write a function like this. Now you see, if you look at this function, the outside world cannot access sum and square, so that is our private part. But since we return mean and std_dev, the stats can make use of mean and std_dev from outside. So mean and std_dev form our public interface, while sum and square are private. So this was one of the most popular mechanisms used earlier before Node.js introduced require or common JS modules and so on. So let's revert back the code. Okay. Now you have seen the classes, and you know that when we add a property to the class, it does not pollute the global namespace. The properties are local to the class because of the way prototype behaves. Now, the modularity of classes come from the modularity of the objects, or specifically prototype objects. Okay. But as I said before Node.js, it was a bit messy in JavaScript to create modules, and you needed the kind of hacks I showed you. When Node.js came into picture, and along with ES6 specifically, now there are two different kinds of systems which we use for modules. One is called the common JS module, or you will remember them as CJS. The other is called ESM or ECMAScript modules. So the common JS module relies on the require keyword, while the ECMAScript, which is the more modern and standard module-based system, you use import and export. So first we will look at how Node.js does its module-based systems, and next video onwards we will look at ECMAScript modules. Okay, so Node.js defines a global exports object. Okay, it is already always defined. If you are writing a Node module that exports multiple values, you can simply assign them to the properties of this object. For example, we have assigned mean and std_dev properties to the exports module. That is one way. Now we have a module that exports only a single function or class. So here we can do that for the class as well. But for multiple modules, if you want to export and you don't want to do that the way, you can use module exports. Okay. So this is for a file, you can pick a number of properties from a file and you can set module.exports is equal to that. Okay. And it will put the modules in the global namespace of exports. Okay. Now the problem is that there can be conflict of names. Okay. So we resolve that. We will see in the next video how do we resolve that. So how do we use it? The question is how do we use? So for example, Node.js exports fs module. You call require on it and you get fs module. And similarly, you get HTTP module and you get call require HTTP. And similarly, you have express.js. Okay. So for example, if you click this HTTP module, you will see that it takes us to declare module export star from node colon colon HTTP. Now, if you see this module here, it imports several things. Now, this is the TypeScript part of it. This is the type definitions. It won't have the actual code. Okay. Later, I will show you the code. All right. This is not what we want to look at. I think this is the one. It is in TypeScript. So the thing is that everything has changed from modules to JavaScript to TypeScript in modern world. And so we'll see how it is done. Okay, so it says node colon colon HTTP. So node is this global module, and then you have HTTP module. So we are exporting everything from this. And once we acquire this module from here, everything from HTTP will be available to us. For example, if we type HTTP dot, so we have everything available here. We see that whatever is available to us. So for example, we can create a server. Okay. And then if you see, then it will take you to the server part of that Node.js http.t.ts server. So it takes us to server part of it. Similarly, there should be client also. I'm not sure where the client is. Client. So you can form a client request and you'll see this is also part of http.t.ts. So these are all exported by the last line which we read as node colon http. So it exports everything from here. Okay. For example, close event, WebSocket, message event, everything. Now, if you look at the top of it, it declares the module node colon HTTP. So everything inside this, so this brace ends here. You see, it is highlighted. So everything inside it is the part of this export magic of Node.js. We will see how we can make our own modules using Node.js once we go on the server side of it. Okay. So the plan is to finish the modules and then we will slowly move on to client-side development followed by server-side development. I think I will do the server-side first and then we will move on to client-side because I want to expose Node.js to you. Node.js is central in JavaScript because almost everything nowadays flows from Node.js in JavaScript world. So what we wanted to discuss was that now this is called the CJS, Common JavaScript Module System. Okay, and ideally you should not mix ECMAScript, that is import export along with this. So we'll see how we can export other things. Okay, in ECMAScript how we do that. Uh, this is the old style, not old style, this is the Node.js style of common JS module. In ECMAScript, for example, if you see read.js, then those are ESM modules and they will export things differently. And they also make use of the export keyword and you import the data from that using that. Okay. So you can use import over here as well, but we will see that in the next video how you can import and export. So this is how you export from a module. So a file can have class not set implementation, and you can put that inside exports, and it will go into the uh, uh, properties of exports. So once you import something like stats.js, if you require stats.js, then mean and stddev will be inside your uh, code. Let me show you actually. Okay, so let's take this and we create a new one. We call it stats.js. Okay, all right, and we create a new file and we say const stat is equal to require, and from the current directory we want to import it stats.js, and we call it stats client.js. Okay, now you see if you type stats dot, then you see mean and std are the member. Okay, we call mean and we can pass it 1 2 3 4, and we can log this as well, console.log, and we close this. And similarly we can call the standard deviation as well. So we copy it and we paste it and we call stddev. Okay, so you see that we are exporting mean and stddev. Now can we access sum and x square? That is the question. So let's try that. Oops, stats.sum, and we pass 1 comma 2 comma 3 comma 4. Okay, so let's run this program. Okay, let me open the terminal, cd videos javascript, and this is stats client code, that is, and you see sum is not a function, but mean and standard deviation is calculated here. Okay, now if we just give this exports the sum stuff, so we didn't get, because we didn't use console.log, so we can use console.log here and sum would be calculated as well. So this is how you achieve modularity in this. So stats.sum, what is not defined? Okay, 1 2 3 4 undefined. Okay, it is making repeated call to this. It's not a function, it is a function. Okay, so whatever. So the essence is that this gives modularity to programs of JavaScript, and with this approach you can break a large piece of logic into different files. Some of those files will have reusable code, which you can probably separate into library code, and some of it would have the one-off written code, which would be typically from the logic of your application. So remember that common JavaScript modules use require, and ECMAScript modules use import export. And we will see in the next video how we can use import export. We have seen require, but ideally you should try to stick to import export most of the times, but you can use require as well. It's not that it is deprecated or going to be removed, just that it is there in the Node.js system ecosystem. So you can use whatever you want, import export or require. It does not make a difference, but to be consistent about using what you want to use. Okay, so with this I will end this video here, and in the next video we will start with ECMAScript import export. We will see how we can export. So this export line will be different when you do import export, and that we will see in the next video. Okay, so I hope that you understood this example, the stats.js and stats client.js, that how it came into picture and how we can do this. So I hope that you learned something useful from this video, and we'll meet again after 4 days with another video on JavaScript modules. Till then, stay curious, keep learning, and most importantly, enjoy.